Yo, what is up guys? My name is Alex and today I'm back with another F1 2021 race brief. As you might have noticed, I have the face cam of course, and I'm talking and I have these pretty flashy subtitles that I'm pretty proud of. This weekend I had a pretty good race that I am actually very proud of, so let's hop into it. Coming into qualifying, as my usual plan is always to get around maybe 2 to 1 laps on the mediums. I'm not really good at qualifying on mediums. My qualifying pace in general is pretty bad, but the main game plan for me every qualifying session is to get 2 medium runs, then 1 soft run, and then 1 final low fuel soft run. So for this first medium run, I did get a pretty bad lap. I think it was a 123 point something, and I'm not really that proud of it, so softs were mainly the main choice for me. And coming out a bit later on the softer tires, we sunk down to P3, which was pretty good, but I didn't really feel like I was confident enough with that poor medium run, so I went out again and the lap was pretty good. I think I got a few purple sectors and managed to get a 122 point, a low 122, and then it was just the last super fast run left with low fuel, and I must give it to myself, I was really happy with this run because this was the first time I actually got under the 122s and broke the second border in a qualifying session. Usually I get the 121.5 in time trial, but this was a really good lap that I was pretty proud of, and still it did manage only to get I think 2 purple sectors. The middle one was probably the biggest improvement because I was struggling a pretty large bit with understeer, and I wasn't really confident enough coming into the fast chicane. So really good lap, and now it's time for the race. So strategy wise, it was just a simple soft to medium game. Like usually doesn't really think it's possible, but I've tried it before. It's about 11 laps on the softs and then on the mediums. So lining up on the grid first for the first time ever was pretty interesting. Now we just had to wait for the rest of the grid to get ready for lights out. And honestly, this was probably the longest wait I've ever done. Starts are my biggest weakness in the game right now because I've just turned off traction control. So it is a bit scary going off the line in first gear because it's so easy to spin. And I was really hoping to get a good start because I'm still struggling with that. Really low revs, 5 lights are on, and it slides out and away we go. And I get a lot of wheel spin in first gear, and Easy Rider just passes us so easily. And then just continuing, I just noticed how insanely quick he already is, even though he had the inside. Looking back a lot, not to get overtaken by the guys behind us, but I was really hoping that we could somehow get back to position. And honestly, I have to give it for Easy Rider. The pace he has, the ability to get out of first in very low gears so quickly is really cool and impressive. He's already 1 second ahead, and coming into turn 1, I think he just touched the apex or curb, I don't really know, a bit too hard, and he spins. So yeah, really unlucky for Easy Rider. Not gonna lie, I was pretty happy because he is probably, and at least was, my absolute biggest threat coming into this race because I did not expect that race pace for him. But lucky for me, unlucky for Easy Rider. A little bit later, we have our first safety car. That's at least what I thought. It was just a virtual safety car. Really lucky for us because Fruit in third place was about 2.5 seconds behind us, and the last thing I wanted is the whole grid to get bunched up and the faster drivers that might have some unlucky starts to get bunched up. So I'd say fairly lucky because it was a pretty large crash for Shelby screen. So lucky for us, and again, I think unlucky for everyone else. A few laps later, again, we have a pretty comfortable lead, and I'd say I thought I had the whole race under control. I was just lifting off some corners, not losing too much time. I didn't want to spin, of course, like Easy Rider. But coming into turn 1, disaster. I cut the corner pretty intensely and get a warning. And that is my third warning, so I do get a penalty. And this is not good, because EJ is probably gonna push a bit faster right now. I don't really know what he thought from this situation, but all I knew is that the gap is less than 3 seconds, and I had 3 seconds penalty. And if you watch the last race, the same thing happened. I lost out on penalties. So this was really not what I wanted. You maybe saw it in the last clip, but in the MFD, I chose to pit this lap, and it looks like EJ is following me into the pits. It's a really slow pit lane in here, so I do my best not to lose way too much time. I think I actually did though. But really slow pit lane, and you don't want to go too fast. EJ, I think his plan is just to follow me and win by penalties. But at the time, I didn't know this, but apparently EJ hit the wall a bit. I'm not sure, but I think he hit the wall a bit and got a little bit of front wing damage. They didn't change it in the pits apparently, but I think this is gonna affect his performance. I didn't really notice this at first. He was driving really quick and using his talent. And I just think he's a really good driver and pretty impressive to drive at the speed he did, even though he had front wing damage. About 10 laps later, I do get my big relief. EJ is about 6 seconds behind, and he is about to pick up a penalty as well. So now I wouldn't really say I was worrying that much. There you go, that's a penalty. So I wasn't really worrying at the same level as I was before. And with just 7 laps left, I was just honestly trying to drive home cleanly and maybe even pick up my first win ever in AFS. And after a very long 29 laps, somewhat low-key boring after the first pit stop, but after a very long race, I am coming home to get my first AFS victory ever. And honestly, that was gold. That was worth everything. And after a race that I'm pretty proud of, I'm happy to announce that I'm leading with my team the constructors standings with 14 points, and I'm leading the championship standings with 14 points. That is it for me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.